So I've done the whole. Do you want to do like puff puff pass? Is this what we
No.
should do with the
Wait, are we
inhaler?
recording? Are we recording?
Yes.
So we had a pause for the cause. Literally, she felt like she was going to have an asthma attack.
It's not that I felt like I had an asthma attack. I just felt like I was constricted. Like
I'm
I wasn't breathing very well.
I feel like that if I had to come on and publicly fire talent, it would probably cause me to feel like I couldn't breathe either. So I get it. I'm glad that you were able to hit pause for the cause and go get your inhaler.
Clearly what it was. OMG.
So anyhow, I need to know before I continue.
Okay.
Am I still fired?
I think we probably should do
Well,
this.
more importantly, am I getting paid tonight?
Based on the way the day is gone, I don't see that in your future, but I think there's always time
But
for
you're
you
saying
to,
there's a chance.
there's always time for you to turn it around, possibly.
All right.
But you got to do something. Like you got to give a little. Like you're gonna have to do something besides like grab my butt, grab my boob kind of thing. Like that's not gonna do it
I
for
don't
me.
ever grab your butt. I rub it. I don't grab it. I'm not a big butt grabber.
You smack it.
I will
you
grab
touch
your boob.
it.
Not gonna lie.
Whatever.
I will grab your boob.
Anyway.
You don't like that?
I don't know. I'm just in a mood right now. The electronics are
No.
like,
You know what's funny
irritating
though?
me.
Here's what's funny, guys.
What's so funny?
Audience. That this I will ask her. What's going on? Where you're at? I will ask her point blank what's going on, and she will tell me every time. I ain't got no vibe. I ain't got no issue. I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're right. Out of all these years, I don't know how to pick up on your vibe. I don't know how to pick up on your mood. It's always me that's wrong. Even though her human design.
It wasn't a vibe. It's not like I woke up with this vibe. It was you
I
gave
know.
me this vibe
I
after
know.
the answer that you gave me in the conversation that we had, and I said such. I said, no, it's not. My energy's not off. You've irritated me.
Yeah.
Like that. They're two different things.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
So is the energy off because you've irritated me? Absolutely.
Your makeup
Is my
does look good
energy
today,
just
though.
off because it's off? No. Thank you. I tried something new.
I know. The more I look at it, the more I like it. It was a little different than what you normally wear, so I
I think
wouldn't.
just it's a darker. Like I think I might need to go back and get a light because it's the fair, and I don't know how much fair I can go as far as that.
No,
like their,
yeah, no. I think the color's fine,
tints,
honestly. I
but-
think what it is it looks more like you have makeup on versus you don't always look like you have makeup on.
Okay.
In a good way, but it looks more. Yeah, I don't know the word. Intentional. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it looks good on you.
So
I'm sure it looks good on the camera
it's
too.
a makeup that I got, because I'm trying to, I'm doing the whole TikTok shop thing. So I'm
Listen,
trying to.
whoop, whoop, my girl got her first sale
I
on
got
TikTok
my first
shop.
sale on TikTok
What did you
shop.
sell? In fact, it was your
It was my portable
nebulizer.
nebulizer. Yep. And so I made
which
another
that
video.
thing really is the shit. I mean, I don't have asthma, but if I did, I would be on that thing everywhere I go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the first video that I did, the one that got the sale, is me showing like my huge medical.
I think I gave you that idea to do that, to show the two. But anyways,
I don't think you did, but the medical nebulizer, because it's ginormous
It's
and
loud.
It's loud. You got to plug it into a wall, and
it comes with its own big bag when you travel,
So-
tubes, everything.
yep, all the things I was gonna say and all the things I
my
said,
bad.
said in my video. But anyway, so the little portable nebulizer is very helpful. And matter of fact, like the asthma has gotten so bad; it's so out of control right now. I don't know if it's. I feel like it's maybe the grass, and because they're out in the grass all the time, like between the scents of the sheets and then the grass, all the things, like it's just on another level and it's killing me right now. I literally woke up in the middle of the night, which is another nice thing about this nebulizer because it's quiet, is I have the medicine already in it. So I know in the middle of the night, if I feel like I'm gonna have an asthma attack, or it's not really an asthma attack, it's just, I can't breathe. It's the like that. I turn it on, I take the treatment, and
I don't even realize you're doing
you
it.
don't even know I'm doing
Yeah.
it. The dogs don't realize I'm doing it, and so it just makes it really easy.
I think I've said this before, but I feel like the older you have gotten, the less reactive you've gotten to spring allergies and the more reactive you've gotten to winter time. I think that it affects you more in the winter than it does even, and that's, I'm talking even the height of pollen season.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I don't know if your body's just adapted to spring and summer in Georgia and it's maybe still adapting to.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. It's
and
crazy.
it's weird because I notice when it's colder outside, my asthma is worse. And when we had the streaks of it getting warmer, it was better, which totally like mind fucks me because I'm like, that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
That totally
Seems
I feel
backwards.
like it should be backwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so how did we even get on that topic? Oh, the
But
TikTok shop.
congratulations on your first
Thank
sale
you.
on the
And
TikTok
basically,
shop.
I can quit my 9 to 5 now
You
because
you
I'm gonna
also
retire.
can refer to yourself as talent at this point.
Sure. And so, but that's a job. That is a job in
Yeah.
itself because you have to be extremely consistent, which we know for me is not my strong suit. Like I am, do one thing, learn it, get bored with it, move on to the next thing. So I'm really working on trying to be
I'm
consistent
lucky
with
you've
this.
not gotten bored with me over the years.
You are lucky, yes. And so I'm trying to stay on this track of doing, what I'm trying to do. And anyway, this makeup was one of these things that I wanted to try because I saw all these ladies doing this particular makeup. It's supposed to be for mature skin, which obviously I'm mature. And I thought, oh, what the hell, I'll try it. And so
I have had to
my
try.
second time wearing it, so we'll see.
I've had to try to be more intentional with like walking around the house, because I know you're doing more of these videos, and so if I hear, like as I'm going into the other room, I'm listening because if I hear you, then I know not to go in there or be quiet or whatever. Or if I hear you in the bathroom, I got to be real careful not to come around the corner, with a shirt off or underwear, whatever. That would be bad.
You should come out for sure with your shirt off. Let's see if that helps with the views.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't need any dad bod jokes.
Naked, not so much.
I don't need. Yeah.
So, I had a troll. I had my first troll.
Yep, you did.
We went to
You're talking about Jess.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
Jess. So we went
Faceless Jess, by the way.
faceless Jess. So we went to the mountains this past weekend. We've not even talked about this. Do you realize this?
Well, yeah.
Oh, so we went to the Blue Ridge Mountains and got a cute little cabin up there. Took the dogs. The kids came up for a night or two, and while I was up there, a TikTok that I had made during it was your colonoscopy TikTok.
Yep.
And Jess came on there talking about, my content is garbage.
This is a dumb video,
It's
but I'll give you a comment to help you content. Or
yeah,
something.
and so I was like, yeah, thanks. I whatever. And we went back and forth a couple of times, and then a couple of my friends came in, and then I think you came in. And
Now keep in mind, Jess doesn't have a face. Jess doesn't have any followers. For all we know,
she has no videos.
And it could be a he. Jess could be
yeah.
a guy or a girl, but it could be a robot. We don't know. But Jess started.
Bots work on
but
there.
Jess
exactly.
started popping off a little bit. Well, then Annie kind of pops off, and then our friend Nicole pops off, and then I pop off, and then it just became, we're trying to figure out who Jess is. I go look at my TikTok, Jess done search my profile. Like we got some conspiracy theories we won't talk about.
Jess thought we were bothered, but it really seemed like Jess was bothered. And then at the end of it, Jess is like, I'm just a college kid in between classes trying to. First of all, she called me a
boomer.
boomer.
That's honestly
that's
what
activated.
That's what activated
That's
Annie.
what
Was the
activated
boomer
everything.
comment.
The boomer comment. And then, Nicole comes back on and she's like, anybody can use Google there, sweetie. A boomer is, age whatever.
Yes, yeah.
60 to 70 or something like that. And Jess comes back and she's like, clearly she can't be a day under 60 or something. And that's what I really wanted to cut a bitch. But I didn't. I just kept it nice and light. And, I basically just kept coming back and saying,
So y'all go to her
it's
TikTok.
garbage content, yet here you are continuing to comment. And honestly, I'm here for it because all the trolls that troll, it just gets me more engagement. So
y'all go to the
keeping on.
colonoscopy TikTok and go make some comments towards Jess. That'll be fun.
We should definitely get her riled back
Yeah.
up. So anyway, so that was interesting. So then, we had our own little conspiracy theory of, okay, well, hold on, who is Jess? And then we were like, I think Jess actually knows you. Like, this just seems a little too familiar and like trying to get under your skin.
Saying we were just being stupid at that point.
Yeah, they were just being stupid. So then it was like, well, maybe Lauren is Jess. I don't see Lauren in the same room every time Jess comments.
And they were saying it was Ashley. We were like, we've never seen Ashley and Jess at the same time. And
so anyway, it was fun. But we had a pretty good time. It was cold. It was very cold.
It was windy.
It was windy. We didn't really do anything, which for me was really nice. Like it just, even though, not that I have a super exciting, fast-paced life right now, but it was just nice to kind of get away, wasn't on Facebook. We didn't take a single
Well, you
picture.
couldn't have
We
much.
didn't
The
do a
service up
single
there was terrible.
video.
So yeah, I was a little disappointed we didn't get pictures. I mean, I'm a big picture taker, and the fact that we had the kids up there with the dog, like I wish we'd taken more pictures, but it is what it is. So
We'll have a chance to do more pictures.
we need to get family pictures, by the way.
We really do.
I mean, ours are from circa.
So what I was going to talk about is this other podcast that I listened to, and they're kind of our age, and they're talking about like how they were raised and how that impacted them parenting today. And I thought, okay, well, I don't know that we've gotten super deep into that. And I thought it might be fun to kind of think back on that.
Yeah.
And I think the way that we were raised probably is different because my parents are divorced, of course. And you didn't experience that, right?
Not with my parents. I mean, they had both been married before, but not together. So
Okay, and so when you were in school, let's call it elementary school.
okay, Miller Elementary.
Sure.
You know, I used to walk to school every day. Like
Okay, so that's good. That's good. Let's talk
So
about
I used
that.
to walk to school every day. I don't know. It's probably, let's just call it half a mile from school, right? But I remember there was a fence that I would walk by, and they had a Saint Bernard. Now, a St. Bernard in Georgia, you never see it, but it would
Right.
come running at you, and it had the big old barrel on its neck and stuff like that. And we would,
This Saint Bernard,
Saint Bernard.
the Saint Bernard in
Yeah.
Georgia, it literally legit had a barrel.
Yeah, it was a small barrel, but it was a sure enough barrel, just like you
What
envision.
were those for? Weren't those? Didn't they have like alcohol or something in them?
I'm sure.
Like,
Because those dogs used to be like sled dogs, and they'd go miles and miles
I
and
need to
miles.
Google what that was actually
Yeah.
for.
But I think that's what it would. They either kept liquor or water or something like that in the barrels. But anyhow, he used to always come charging at us, and we would I don't know, harass it, kind of mess with it or what. Not like be mean or anything like that,
Right.
but just try to get him to
Like,
go. So.
haha, you can't get
Yeah,
us
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So that's core memory that I have of walking to school every day.
Okay, so you walked to and from, or just to school or from
I
school?
definitely walked to school. From school, I mean, I'm sure I did. I didn't ride a bus, or I would every now and again. Like if I went to, I had a friend named Andy. He lived in a different neighborhood, so if I rode the bus, it would be to go to his house. Had a friend named Alan who lived near the school. He and I'd walk
So
back
this
to
was
his house all the
elementary
time.
school.
Yeah.
You walked home from elementary school.
Yeah.
So when you got home, who was there?
No one.
Okay.
Yeah.
In elementary, no one was home.
No, because my dad worked until 4:30, 5 o'clock. Whatever. He worked for the city, so whatever
Right.
time he closed, and then my mom worked for the base, and she worked till I don't know 4 o'clock or whatever.
So you came home alone.
Yeah.
But where was Angie?
Well, when she was in elementary school with me, she would have been there too. And of course, my cousin Matt lived right down the street as well.
Uh-huh.
He's, I don't know, Angie's 2 years older than me, so Matt's probably 4 or 5 years older than me.
Okay.
So anyhow, and then of course, when Ange went to junior high, I was in the 6th grade, 5th grade, or whatever. So that kind of changed things a little bit. But I was old enough at that point to walk on by myself.
So do you remember what we called that? What that was called back in the day?
Independence? Like I don't know what you're looking for.
Latchkey kid.
Oh.
So you were a latchkey kid.
What is a latchkey? Meaning I have my own key to the house.
Correct.
I got you. Yeah, I guess I've heard that term before. I never really used it myself, but yeah, I guess I was.
And kind of, I feel like
You come home, make a snack. Mm-hmm. Yeah, make a sandwich, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or whatever it is that you're going to do.
And then what did you do?
I would try to get started on homework because it was almost guaranteed. Like I played sports year round, so it was guaranteed I was going to have practice or a game or some version of that every evening. So
Even at elementary school?
yeah, I mean, what do you mean?
I mean, I don't.
You don't think we played games and practiced? Jackson played sport. I mean, Jackson played raw. I mean, it was the same deal, except I played football, baseball, basketball, and soccer growing up. So it was
I
like
guess
all
so.
year round.
I forget that.
It was
Okay.
exhausting.
So when you didn't have sports, what did you do? Let's say in the summertime.
Baseball. There was never.
Oh my God,
There was,
okay.
and I'm being for real.
So you came home, you made a snack, and you tried to do your homework.
Yeah,
And then your parents came home.
yeah.
Okay. So was there ever a time where you came home, you made a snack, and then you left? Like you went to play with your friends?
No, if it was, it would have been Matt, like lived like right down the street. Or like I said, I would go to Alan's house right from school, or I'd go to Andy's house right from school.
Right.
But I didn't have a lot of friends that lived around me per se. Tebow did, but he was down the road a little bit, and he was Angie's age too, so he was a little bit older than me. But we get out there and shoot basketball and that kind of thing. But most of the time, if I was going to be around friends, it was over at Andy's house or Alan's house or Jar's house. Like Jar,
And how did you get there?
you walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it was close enough to walk, but it was closer than the Waffle House we tried to walk to that one day. But yeah, because I rode bikes, but I was never like great at riding bikes.
And so it wasn't in like a little neighborhood, like right now today,
No.
if you were raising kids and you had an elementary kid
Yeah.
in our neighborhood, would you let them after school, like after they've had their snack and stuff, like go to the neighbor's house, 2 or 3 houses down
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
play, like
Yeah.
walk there?
Yeah, 100%.
Would you let them walk all the way to the other end of the neighborhood?
100%. Our
Really?
neighborhood's not that big. We don't live in Southfield. I mean, we have 68 homes in this neighborhood.
Okay, what if you were still living in a house like you were living with when you were growing up? Would you let them walk to the friend's house?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because it wasn't a subdivision. It wasn't a neighborhood, but it wasn't that far away either.
So you have no concept of like kids being like kidnapped and taken. You don't have that trauma of like they're going to get, it's the blonde haired kids. They're the ones that get snatched.
Well-
Were you told that growing up or is that just me?
I was never told
The
that.
blonde hair, blue eye kids. Those are the ones that
There's
were on the
probably,
milk cartons.
honestly, there's probably some
Even though the
truth
milk
to
cartons
that.
were black and white, so you don't really know that.
Yeah, there's probably some truth to that, but no, I don't feel like I ever worried about that, or my parents ever really worried about that. No.
I'm not saying you didn't worry about them. I'm just saying you worried about it as a parent growing
As a
like,
parent, no, but our kids didn't really do that either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to say what I have worried about it because they really didn't do that.
Jackson, when we lived in Gray, he our neighbors right beside us, that's who his
That was
friends were.
literally right next door.
Literally
So,
right
yeah.
next door. So he would go with them, but pretty much not really anywhere else. But I just thought that was interesting. So in elementary school, I want to say that Mom had somebody there when we got home from the bus. I want to say it wasn't until we moved and she got married to Gary that, I started coming home, or we would come home off the bus by ourselves with nobody home, which, was almost middle school at that point. So I don't feel like I did it in elementary, but I'm not sure. But it's just kind of different, like talking about, what we did, we were unreachable. It wasn't you had a cell phone to get in touch with anybody all the time. Like we took off on our bikes and we were just gone for hours and hours. I remember riding up, we had this, we would ride up to the store. And when I say ride up to the store, it wasn't just right around the corner. Like it was a haul up there. And we would go, get candy and come home. And it was on a major like state route. Like the thought of letting my child do that in 5th grade now, I'm just like, there's no way. And so that podcast, they were kind of talking about that, like, how the way that they grew up and kind of without a lot of parental supervision kind of made them into these parents that you would kind of maybe call them helicopter parents. And so I was just...
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that being a latchkey kid turns someone into a helicopter? So to me, I don't think that being a latchkey kid would turn me into a helicopter parent. What would turn me into a helicopter parent is the evolution of technology.
I think the helicopter
Which
parent...
has nothing to do with the way I was raised. It was because of the technology that's now there and the heightened focus on sex trafficking, the heightened focus on kidnapping. I mean, all these things that maybe I suppose it probably happened when we were growing up. You just didn't hear about it,
Right.
And I don't think it happened with nearly the frequency that it happens today. Unfortunately,
Yeah, probably not as much access to it. But no, I agree with you. I think you're right. Like it really is the access to the information and knowing what's happening that I think would have, if I was a helicopter parent, that's why. It wasn't because I was left alone. Like, and I think that's kind of what they were talking about, especially the female, the mom in general was talking about her trauma. And I didn't necessarily take it as my parents not being real parental. I don't want to say they weren't parental. They just weren't on top of you all the time. I didn't take that as a trauma for me, or like my mom not being there, because my mom was a single mom for a while and had to work. Like, I didn't take that as a trauma that she wasn't there for me when I, got off the bus in the afternoons or something like
Yeah,
that.
and I only remember being without a parent, if you will, like right after school. You know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, like in the evenings, we were always going to eat family, dinner as a family. Then we go to practices together. My dad coached me, my mom coached. So I wasn't ever like I wasn't the hey, we're going to go out and have dinner tonight. We're going to go to a party. And next thing you know, my parents are getting back at
Yeah,
midnight. You know what I
same.
mean? Like neither
Yeah.
one of them were big
Once they were
social.
home, they were home.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So from that respect, like I don't even think anything about the hour and a half that I was there by myself or whatever the case
It's
may
hard
be.
to imagine you at home. It's hard to imagine your parents not being around. Like, I don't, for whatever reason, like my perception of like Becky and Johnny Cage is like, well, they were just always there.
Yeah,
Like, there
yeah.
wasn't,
And
they didn't go through like what I went through, which having a single mom that had to work and like whatever. And I don't know why that is the image in my mind. That's what I think about,
no,
but
man,
it is.
I think that's pretty accurate. It was a very stable household, and my dad went to work from 8 to 5 every day. My mom went to work from she went to work earlier. I remember that, but because she would always be going in the morning, my dad would kind of leave as we're kind of leaving, and because that's kind of the other piece of it is we were responsible for getting up and
Yeah.
if you're going to eat breakfast or because they were typically already on the way out the door. But yeah, when you got back and they got back, it was like okay, we're dinner, we're practice, we're homework, we're everything together. So
I got to where in high school it was I would, if I didn't have practice, or even if I did have practice, a lot of times I would be walking home or waiting on my mom to come pick me up. But on the days that I didn't have practice for whatever reason, I would go ahead and like start dinner. Like I was the one doing dinner so that dinner was done by the time she got home.
yeah, I don't remember that. Like I would like to think I helped do dinner, but I don't
I
think that I
cannot,
did.
no, there's no way
I
that
don't
you
think
did.
I did, and I think Ange might have helped with like spaghetti. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel pretty confident in saying that it was mom would get home, homework would be done, she would cook, I'd eat, we'd go to baseball practice, basketball practice, soccer practice, all the things. But uh, yeah,
Did you ever have the feeling of not knowing whether like your parent doing like an out of let's say an away game or whatever, and there's no cell phone, so like you just in the morning you left, like you saw your parent, they're like, okay, I'll see you at the game tonight, or I'll try my best to get to the game tonight, because if it's out of town, like they're not leaving work early. My mom didn't leave work early to go to like my volleyball games. It was, hopefully, JV plays first, and by the time, depending on how far away it is, from the time she leaves work at 5 or 5:30, she can get there before hopefully the game starts. And so, but I remember like warming up and looking around. I'm like, okay, is mom coming? Did mom show up? If mom didn't show up, then I guess I just knew to go home on the bus that night.
yeah, I for some reason like I don't really remember. First of all, in elementary school, that age, that wasn't really
Not in
applicable. You're
elementary,
talking
no,
high
high
school
school,
and
yeah,
stuff like that, and I honestly can't.
even junior
I
high.
honestly can't recall that. I don't think the out of town thing was that big of a like. You just didn't have a like junior high. It was all in county. High school, you started doing some stuff, and I remember riding the bus back, but I never really, I guess, kind of doubted whether or not my parents would be there or not. But you know, when you're old enough to drive, you're parking at the school. So when the bus gets back, you're just
Yeah,
driving home or
right.
whatever. But for some reason, I feel like I have a much more vivid memory of elementary, junior high, and I think I have less memory of high school. And I think that's partly because I think when you get into high school, it's somewhat natural to kind of maybe separate from your parents a little bit because you get a girlfriend and you're consumed with them
Oh
and
God, please let's
you're
talk about your
you're
girlfriends that you're
consumed
consumed with.
with social life and all this other stuff, and the parents kind of get pushed to the wayside. But the other thing is, I feel like from a sports standpoint, I went through what I would consider something pretty traumatic in high school from a sports standpoint, and so I think that I don't know if like my mind just kind of blocks that period of time out a
Oh,
lot more than
interesting.
it does previous to that. So,
That's
yeah.
interesting. We they didn't talk about this, but I also saw this. And matter of fact, I thought this when I went to the mall to return those jeans the other day. I walked in that mall, babe, and it is just like ghost town.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
and I mean, what day did I go? What day is today? Thursday? I
Wednesday.
mean, I went on like Wednesday. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just ghost town. And I walked in, I'm like, my God, I remember the feeling of being like, I don't know, early 20s,
Yeah.
maybe in high school, and like going to a mall. I guess maybe when I came down to Georgia, because we didn't really have malls near us, it would be a several hour drive. So when I came down to Dad's in the summertime and going to the Macon Mall, like
The Macon Mall was
that
the
was the
shit.
shit.
But even like we called it the Houston Mall, which is where the hospital part of the hospital is now. But you used to have Barrel of Fun up there, which is like an arcade, which is freaking amazing. You had Eckerd Drugstore,
Not Eckerd's.
but it was a drugstore, but it was like a little
Yeah.
store
Oh, yeah,
too.
yeah,
And you had a sports place called Wall Sports. I remember every 10th pair of shoes you get a free pair. And so my sister and I both played sports, so we always had basketball shoes and cleats, and so
Right.
we racked up on that pretty quickly. But I remember you used to always get a Wall Sports T-shirt too, like if you spend so much money. And like having that Wall Sports T-shirt was like a status thing, you know what I mean? It
Really?
was, and they were bright colored and shit. I mean, it was pretty awesome. But I think
So their marketing was on point. They knew what they were
it
doing
it really was,
back before,
and it
like,
would
it
be
was
funny
cool.
because if you walked into it now, you'd probably be like, "This store sucks." But back then, it's kind of like Toys R
Yeah,
Us.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like when you walk into
God,
Toys R Us,
Toys R
you're
Us
like,
was
"This is
amazing.
magical." And now you're just like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah.
But there was also I think it was called Starship Records, where you go buy single tapes, and
Yeah.
this I think probably even before CDs. But here was something funny I heard today. I saw a meme. What was the name of you remember the catalog that you used to be able to get like 12 CDs for like 12 pennies or whatever? You remember
Yeah.
the name of it? Anyways, whatever it
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
somebody said something along the lines of the news just released that Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, is starting to collect on whatever the name of that was.
Snorted.
So if you have outstanding charges for your CDs, you better pay up or something like that. I mean, I died laughing. What was it? It's some reason Castaways in my head, but I know that I don't know why.
Castaway.
There's no way that's right. But anyhow, but you remember that, right? Here's another core memory I have of my childhood, and this might just tell you how boring we were as kids. But there used to be this station on TV. It was called the Jukebox, and I don't know if y'all had it up there in Ohio or not, but
Was it CDs for free or just CDs?
CDs. I mean, a lot of them
Columbia
were
House?
Columbia
Okay.
House. Yes. So you could get like 12 for $12 or it was like cheap. Like
Multiple CDs
yeah,
for free,
there you
it
go.
said.
So anyhow,
They were known for their marketing schemes.
they were amazing, and they would get you because there was like
They said they would send
there
you.
was
They
like
would
a
often,
membership. Yep.
often send you ones that you did not
Yep.
request.
And if you didn't send them back, you got charged for them. So they knew what they were doing. But anyhow,
Yeah.
it says Doge is starting to collect on Columbia House. So I died when I saw that.
Not this Reddit thread that says folks who are old enough to remember Columbia
Oh,
House.
AKA boomers. No, we're not boomers, but I remember. But there was a station called Jukebox, and it was like a music station where you could pay like 99 cents to hear a song or whatever. But I remember, a song would pop up, and then number two, and then number three, and then Ange and I on a Friday night, or whatever night it was, we would literally play a game where like if number one popped up, whoever could start singing it the fastest won until the screen reset, and then you do it again. And like number one, no, you can't, because if you messed up, that was like a penalty or
Wait,
something.
you guys would go somewhere and do this?
No, you watch it on TV. It was a
Oh.
TV station.
Oh,
So you
okay.
just we just be watching, and then like if you knew song number one or didn't know it, you wouldn't say anything, and then song number two, and like whoever yelled it out, and like but you'd have to sing it. You couldn't just say what the
I
song
can't
was.
imagine the Kilcos making something into a
That
game.
kind of competition. But anyways, that was like entertainment on a budget. You know,
Yeah.
you didn't have to
Oh,
spend because
yeah.
we never paid for the songs, but that was just part of it. So
Man, yeah, the mall was amazing.
Yeah.
I remember the food court. The
Yeah,
food
yeah.
court was freaking amazing.
going to the Macon Mall was like a treat.
It
I mean, it
was,
was like going to
oh my
Applebee's
God,
on a
it
date
was
night back then.
great.
You know what I mean?
It was so amazing. But anyway, I walked in the house, I guess the Galleria
Yeah.
Mall, and it was just like ghost town.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, first of all, like, how is this place still here? How is it surviving? And
Even when you go at Christmas,
it's
it's still not. I mean,
it's so sad
yeah,
because I feel like that's the way it is across America, though.
of
Like, I feel
course.
like all the malls, I'm like, where are we shopping now? Where are we getting this, the type of feeling that it used to give me?
You get it from an Amazon package coming to your front door.
Oh, but it's just not, I mean, you do, but it's also not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same as walking around. And I do love to shop and
I'm
walk out with
so
those
some of
things.
the like the perimeter and Linux and stuff like that. And we've been there recently, and those are still okay, but not nearly to the extent that they used to be. But around the holidays, they will pick up because you got people who wait till the last minute and that kind of thing. But it's quite sad, honestly. You
It
know,
is.
and honestly, and what's crazy, I thought about the irony in this is Walmart, believe it or not, if you compare Walmart today versus Walmart from 15 years ago or 10 years ago, it does not have nearly the traffic it used to have. Like
Yeah.
Christmas time, it used to be absolute bonkers. I thought to myself, I wonder if the Walton family ever says, to hell with Amazon. You know, they ruined us. They, you know, knowing good and well that that's exactly what Walmart did to mom and pop shops,
I
you
doubt
know,
it
20 years
because
ago.
Amazon, you can now go on to the things that you buy. Wait, is this? Hold on, let me rewind. I mean, Walmart's selling things online. It pops up and you wouldn't think that it's an Amazon, that it's a Walmart seller. God Almighty, I can't even
So they've
talk.
had to evolve, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
they've had to evolve, but interesting. And then okay, so we are on the way up to the mountains, and it literally was a 3.5 hour drive. Even though I think it might have taken us 4.5 hours, traffic
Are
was,
we talking about our trip now?
yes,
Okay.
our trip was pretty bad. And typically on any trip that we take nowadays, you load up the iPad with shows for us
Shows,
to
yeah.
watch, right? Because it goes by so much faster watching a show. And we had only watched, I don't know, we only downloaded so many. So we didn't have enough. We ran out. And then we're just like, what do we do? We're so bored. I was like, I'm looking around. I'm like, this is the most boring thing ever. And it made me flash back to my days when I had to drive up and down, from Ohio to Georgia, and all I had was a freaking Walkman. All I had was a Walkman.
What was your
And my
biggest entertainment?
my mixtapes.
When you were riding with your family, there should only be one answer here.
Are
When
you
you're
gonna say that game, the ABC game?
absolutely 100%,
We didn't know. My parents weren't that into
y'all,
right.
they were too into
Mom and
themselves.
Gary were like, not really, not really into playing that.
Well, that would be too much excitement.
That would be a lot of excitement
and
for
then
them.
the other side was they were too into
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I was thinking also about, the first time that I rode on a plane by myself. So being from divorced family, I, I was constantly, going back and forth. I would come spend, a week or so in the summer with dad, and then I would go back and then really wouldn't see him again until Christmas. I saw him twice a year. That was it. And, the difference that made, I wonder, like, did that have an effect on me of, that's why I'm like, so is it really my human design, or did any of that play a part into, I'm really okay kind of being by myself and not having that much interaction with people? Like, just because that became such the norm when I was at such a young age. And then I remember like getting on a plane and flying. Like Aaron and Mom would walk us to the gate. This is, of course,
This is crazy.
this is, I mean,
Yeah.
pre, 9/11, obviously. You walk people to the gate, you put them on the gate, you tell them bye, and you leave. And then, Mom doesn't know that we made it there until hopefully, my dad or somebody answers, because we didn't have cell
At the
phones.
actual house.
Yeah, you didn't have cell phones either. You just hope that, I mean, you do watch the flight, she could watch that and make sure that it landed or whatever, but you didn't really talk to us again until, we hopefully answered at the
And
house.
see, that part's crazy to me is the flying by yourself thing. In fact, I think until I was an adult, I think I flew one time, and one of these, I can't even tell you the company, had this deal where you could fly to like Charlotte, North Carolina. It was short flight. I mean, you're up and then you're down. And I remember my dad getting all of us tickets, and he was as proud as, I mean, this is a big fucking deal that we're all going to get on a plane. And we flew to Charlotte, and that was the only time I had ever been on a plane.
Really?
And until I got to
I mean, I guess there
adulthood.
was no reason for you to be.
No,
Yeah,
no,
you didn't
no.
go
But it
anywhere.
was just, I just remember that being such a big deal. And it was such a big deal to him to do that. Which, I guess back then it probably was. I mean,
Yeah,
it
I'm
wasn't
sure.
cheap to do
I remember
something like that.
putting Jackson on a plane, and I was trying to remember how old he probably was, but I'm guessing he probably
Was this
wasn't.
to Ohio?
Yeah, you and I were
Yeah,
together, and I'm
I
trying to
remember
decide.
that.
I guess we were married. I'm
If I had to
assuming.
guess, he was probably like 8 or 9.
Yeah,
Something like
and
that.
that was, and I was able. I don't think I could. I don't think I was able. No, I know I wasn't because it was after 9/11. Duh. I couldn't walk him to the gate.
I think I
I had
remember
to
that.
literally leave
Yeah.
him, put him in someone else's care, the care of the airlines,
I remember that.
because
Yeah.
you couldn't go, like, I don't think you could go all the way. Or maybe you could get a pass and go through security anyway.
You went to a certain port. I remember that. But I remember you telling me you had to hand him off at some
Yeah,
point too.
and
So
that was
I
freaking
bet.
wild. That was scary also, because you're like, oh my God, I'll just sit my kid on this
Yeah.
plane and hope that he
I
makes
bet he
it.
was a nervous wreck.
Oh, you know for sure
My
he
gosh,
was.
yeah.
He was nervous about tying this darn tie. He was so worried about, he didn't have a haircut to go to this funeral.
You're talking about the funeral this week.
This past week,
Okay.
he didn't have a haircut. He couldn't. He was like, "Is Kent there? Is he going to be at this funeral? Because I need him to tie this tie. I can't get this tie tied." And I'm like, "No, he's probably. I don't know if he's going to make it or not. But I can YouTube it once we get to the funeral home or whatever. I can help you." And he's like, "No, I freaking no." It's kind of all I hear is that phone hangs up, and so like I can immediately pick up on his stress from which is crazy. I'm like, it's fine. Whatever you're wearing is going to be fine. Shut up. Why are you looking at me like that?
Why do you think I'm looking at you like that? If you had one guess,
Because I know he's like that. What do you mean?
why is he like that?
Well, that's a good question. Why is he like that? Well, you seem to.
Because his mom is like that.
No.
You are
No.
identical, and he is identical to you when it comes to that.
I don't think so.
No, absolutely.
Well, I wasn't stressed about what I was wearing.
Well, yeah, okay. First of all, you're
And
almost
I just threw something on.
yeah. Okay. Maybe not about what you're wearing, but there are plenty of times where you assume the worst. Your anxiety kicks in. You're thinking like, and I'm just like just this is not that big of a deal. Just
When's the
chill.
last time that happened?
It's been a
you
minute.
accuse me of stuff like that all the
Oh,
time.
really? How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel
It
when
doesn't make
when
me
I
feel-
act as though that's the way you are now? When you
yeah.
let's say it's been 5 years since you've done that. Tell me the truth. See, you can dish it, but you can't take it.
Oh, sure.
Exactly.
Sure.
So, what would you say are 2, 3, whatever? Like, what were your favorite things about your parents? Whether or not it was Bertie and Gary or Keith and Lisa, like, what were your favorite things?
My favorite things?
Yeah.
Like memories?
Yeah, or the way you were treated, or things that were done. Like for
No,
example,
I can't think of that right now. You go first.
like me, I knew without any question whatsoever, my parents were always going to be at my sporting events. A lot of times they were coaching. My dad was a physical coach. My mom was the brains behind the operation. But I, without doubt, never for a second thought that neither one or both of them were not going to be at my games. And when you're growing up, like, especially when you just kind of learn that's what you expect, it's maybe not until later that you have an appreciation for it.
Yeah, I would say that for the most part, I feel like that was mom, even though I can remember 1 or 2 times where she probably missed a game. And she may have not always been there like for the entire game. Like I said, I don't
Work and yeah.
Yeah, like I made sure like I was always leaving work early for Jackson's games. Like I made sure I was there the entire time. Like he knew when that game started, he could make eye contact with me. I was there. Like I didn't necessarily feel like I had that all the time, but for the most part, that would be my mom. My dad never came to see a game ever. He never saw me play. I take that back. The senior year, was it senior year? Anyway, the all Ohio games, he and his family came up to visit, I guess, and they did come see those games wherever they were. I don't even remember, but and I think maybe they came to Apple Festival one year. That might have been the same year. It was very interesting, but it was strange. It was so strange because I'm like, by that point at senior year, I felt like you don't even know me, and I really don't know you, but yet you're coming to watch me play. It was so strange. It
Awkward,
was
yeah.
such a weird feeling. Such a weird feeling.
I think the other thing that you learn to appreciate it more as I've gotten older is my mom was always the buffer in our family. And what I mean by that is my dad could sometimes have a short fuse. He didn't have a bad temper, but he had a short fuse sometimes. And my mom was always really good at interjecting. Like when she could see a way a conversation was going, she would step in, quiet him down, quiet me down, and she just had a way of
Yeah.
knowing how to fix it. Or if I was frustrated or mad or whatever, she would always just kind of pull me to the side and say, "I'll take care of your dad. Don't worry about it." And she was the same way with Ange too. But that's probably a motherly trait to a certain extent. But I always knew and I could always count on it, but I don't think I really understood and appreciated it until I got older into adulthood and maybe even had a kid and that kind of thing where it's like, okay, that was a big part of that family dynamics that just kind of kept our family together.
Well, and now that you say that, I'm thinking about how it played out in our life, but my experience, I didn't have that experience at all because my mom was really the only one that I truly felt like I interacted with. Like I didn't have any of those kind of situations with my dad because we didn't talk. And Gary was, I don't think mom brought him in. I don't think he really tried to come in. I think maybe he was always because he was a principal. So he was always on the phone. He always had stuff going on after school and in the night.
He was
and
coaching
stuff like that.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
And so I don't ever recall. First of all, we weren't difficult children. Like Aaron and I were very low key, very like we didn't get in trouble. We didn't really test, I would say, the waters much. So don't really feel like there was a lot of opportunity for him to come in, but also don't really feel like we had a ton of interaction either, if that makes sense. And I'm kind of like you from the standpoint of, did we not? And do I just not remember? Or do I just not remember and we did? I don't know.
Well, I think Gary, is more of a traditionalist too. I kind of envision, because like in the generation where he grew up, and I'm sure his dad was like this, it was like the guy worked,
Yeah.
the husband worked, he come home, he sat down, he ate dinner, he went and watched TV, he went and read a magazine, he went and did whatever he was going to do, and
that's probably what it was. Gary didn't do those things. He came home, he ate dinner, and then he immediately went back to go work. He was either doing it in the yard, he was working on the car, he was fixing something, building something. He never sat down. So the only time we probably did really see him was at the dinner table, and he doesn't talk through it while he's eating. Like he eats, he's done, he's gone. Like it wasn't.
I remember
there was no conversation at the dinner table. So I guess that's probably where that comes from. And now that I'm thinking it through, like it's a very different experience that you and I had because I literally just had my mom. And even mom, I don't recall mom, she wasn't a big talker either, I feel like. So
she was a good listener, but not a big talker.
Yeah, I think it was Chad and Ryan picking on Aaron or me for the most part, and us probably talking back to them. But I remember sitting down and having dinners. I don't really remember having a lot of conversation at dinner.
Yeah. I remember the first time we had dinner around Gary and Bertie. I don't remember where it was at. I just remember him because I'm an independent. Like I feel like I'm an independent guy.
Yes. The house in gray. I feel like
Maybe.
I remember this.
Anyways,
exact
he sat down at the
situation.
table, and I'm like, I'm looking around like I'm getting ready to make my own plate, my own drink, whatever. And he's sitting at the table, and I'm thinking, is he gonna get up and like make it? No, he's not. His ass sat at that table. Bertie made him a plate, took it
Yeah.
over there. Bertie
Yes.
made him a drink,
Yes.
took it over there. And I'm
Mom.
just sitting here
Yes.
thinking to myself, what in the whole,
Yeah.
like it would,
And
that
you
was
know, I
so, that
think
was so,
I think thinking back about it, I remember this so vividly now that you're saying it, that I think I probably had some resentment towards him and probably towards her because she did cater to him, and I felt like waited on him hand and foot. And I understand that's kind of what she saw her mom and her dad do. That's it is. I know it is because we've had the conversation before. But I think to some degree I somewhat resented that because I think it felt so focused on him that I can't honestly tell you that I feel
how
like
could there be a focus on you? If,
I don't feel like we had a real close relationship. And even and I think maybe that's why it was a little easier for me to leave the nest. I moved away, when I was 21 years old, which that was not easy, but I did it. And, moved from Ohio to Georgia, and that's where I stayed and was never around my mom again until they moved here, to help with Jackson for a little while. And at that point, that's when our relationship got closer. But it was after I'd already had, I was 25 years old. So prior to that, I would not say that we had a real close relationship. And maybe that's why I feel like I probably, if you talk about being a helicopter parent or trying to be extremely involved with your kid, I probably tried to do that and focus so much on him because I didn't feel like I had that. I think I felt a little bit, I don't want to say neglected, but I think I probably missed some of that.
and I imagine when you think
Was
about,
longing for some of that.
like that traditional kind of household, I think that was common. You know
Yeah.
what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
And
for
they just
sure.
carried over into y'all.
For
But I
sure.
guarantee you, with his parents and her parents, it was 10 times worse.
Oh yeah.
And then with his, it was even worse. And that's
And
that.
my dad was the same. My dad would always, he would say children should be seen and not heard. I mean, like he literally 100% was that way.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Just all the
yeah.
dynamics, the different dynamics that I went through versus what you went through, because I think you did experience more of a traditional two-parent household, which brings so many other things than I felt like that I had. And I think some of those things without meaning to, just carried over naturally.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I appreciate now as an adult, probably more so than I did, is like my mom always seemed to know when to get involved and when not to get involved. And she was always right. I mean, I think that's just a lot of moms. It's like you're always right, but she was really good at balancing when I needed some input versus when I just need to build a vent, or when I need to or when she needed to interject her opinions and positions on things. And it's, I lost her, I guess, 2009. I think is when she
Yeah.
passed, and that was right when we were getting married or whatever. So let's just say I was 30 years old. I don't know, but there's plenty of times where over the last 16, 17 years, I'm like, I wish I had that
Yeah.
knowledge. Especially raising Lauren. I think that there's a lot of stuff, and we've shared some stuff on here, but not nearly to the extent of everything over the last 16 years. And it's just like I can't help but to think how things would be different, especially with Lauren, if my mom was here and as Lauren was growing up and she had the opportunity to kind of help in ways that I just didn't know what to do or
Yeah.
didn't know how to do it, and,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. But again, as an adult, you look back and you're like, man, that was a very special skill set. And I think as a parent, like watching you, I think that's something that you're really good at too. I think that you're not that helicopter parent, but you know when to interject, you know when to give your opinion without it being unwanted and unwarranted. And I think that that's probably why you have the relationship you have with Jackson today, where he comes to you for so much stuff, because he obviously values your opinion and your perspective and your insight and that kind of thing. So I'm glad. Like I joke with you guys about oh, he's calling again, whatever. But there's a huge amount of respect that y'all have that relationship too.
I don't
So
know what this is all making me emotional all of a sudden. Like I want to cry. So I don't know what's going on, but I do know we've been here.
but this is our child. I mean, this has helped establish who we. And honestly, we could probably talk about this for another 2 or 3 episodes because there's other stuff that's going in my mind now that I'm like, I could talk about this now, but obviously we got to end it at some point. But I wouldn't mind revisiting this because I think this is really, really important, and I think it's important for the kids to kind of get their perspective and that kind of thing. And this is one of those things where, when I'm gone one day, and this is on YouTube. This is obviously before I really got fired. It's on YouTube. Like I would love for my kids to be able to go back and listen to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I would love to if my mom was here today, I'd love to be able to hear her perspective on a lot of stuff. So, cool. Sure. I didn't expect this conversation, but
I didn't either.
This was good stuff.
It was good stuff. I was hoping that we would have time to talk about paradise, but we're just going to have to leave that for now.
Yeah, we'll table it. But let's get back to some of this conversation. I don't know if it'll be the next episode or not, but I think it's important that you talk through some of this stuff.
Yeah, because I'm like crying.
I can see that. I can see that. I love you.
I love you too.
Am I still talent?
I don't know.
Am I still talent?
No.
I'm fired?
I don't know.
Let's
talk about that later.
Would you agree to put it up to a vote?
Yes, let's put it up to a vote.
If our listening audience says he's got to go,
yes,
then I'll go gracefully. But if they say no, we need Kent as talent, then I'll stay. And it may just be a hunch. We've had several people say, "When's Kent coming back on?" So I have a feeling I know where this is going to go. But all right,
it's dinner time.
Please do not do your babe. Please do not do it.
Oh, we got to talk about that too. Freaking A.
What?
Cringe?
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. All right. Bye.
See y'all.